Thank you for your introduction. Good morning, everyone. So today I'd like to share my research on securing distributed learning structures for IoT systems. Here is the outline of today's talk. First, I will give a brief introduction to distributed machine learning, and then I will focus on my design, and then I will conclude the talk. So as we know, IoT devices have penetrated into various sections such as smart city, smart agriculture, healthcare, and energy. So these devices are wirelessly and well connected to form IoT systems for providing better services. These IoT systems actually generate a massive volume of data. Suppose 1 byte is 1 grain of rice. The data that IoT systems are producing can fill the Pacific Ocean. So how to find value in such a huge amount of data is an urgent and challenging problem. With the help of machine learning, we, for the first time, have the opportunity to gain deeper insights into problems and develop better solutions. But in practice, many IoT systems are decentralized. For example, a hospital, right, has many different sites. The IoT systems of each site produce data. The data is held by each site. So most of the time, data holders have limited computation resources to process such huge amount of data. So they may seek the help from like the cloud computing. Each data holder uploads original data to the computing server in the cloud. However, data always contain customers' sensitive information due to legal, security, or ethical reasons. The data owner may be not willing to reveal data to others for data analytics. So even worse, so when sharing data with third party or other data holders, system security becomes another concern that hampers their realization. On the other hand, a more serious threat comes from outside attackers. So the fact that cloud stores our data in a centralized manner makes the cloud single point of attack for outside attackers. If an attacker compromises the cloud server, all users' data are gone. For instance, you may heard there were data breaches in one of the largest credit bureaus called Equifax. So it causes large volume personal data leakage. Okay. So addressing data privacy and security issues is very important. Okay, our design is we try to secure distributed learning structure. Okay, so the data privacy issue and single point error issue. So because of that, so we propose to design distributed machine learning. So a classical distributed machine learning framework is called federated learning. Generally, each data holder, or called client, computes a local gradient and transmits it to a central server. So the central server aggregates these local gradients to update the global machine learning model. However, so there are still some concerns regarding the server-client model. Although the data holders are sending the gradients instead of the original data, the attacker can infer sensitive information from the gradients uploaded to the server. Okay. So this means we have potential privacy leakage when we upload the gradients to the central server. So to address this issue, researchers may propose two types of schemes. So the first one is secure multi-party computing, SMC. Okay. So the users use cryptography and oblivious transfer techniques to protect the uploaded data. But this process requires the data holder to execute expensive computation locally. So this is actually a burden to the resource limited users. The other type of schemes is to use differential privacy to protect users' sensitive information by adding noise to the transmitted data. Besides the privacy concerns, the server client model also suffers from security threats. First, the server might be dishonest, same as the cloud server. So it is vulnerable to attackers, and it can be even malicious itself. So the computer server itself may be malicious. For example, the server may be we call lazy in the computing process for financial incentives and then return in process results. Okay. Second, some data holders can be malicious. So they attempt to disrupt the learning process. This attack model is also called Byzantine attack. Although there are a few Byzantine attack tolerant machine learning algorithms, their computational complexity is usually very high. So to address the first security concern, so a straightforward question is that can we just get rid of the central server? Can we, if it can, right, can we find a way to make it a decentralized learning framework, kind of like this? The answer is yes. We can introduce blockchain as a decentralized platform and use it to replace the central computing server. Blockchain can be treated as a ledger. This ledger is made public so everyone can see it. So any change to the contents, then everyone will see it. One block is like one page in the ledger. So the ledger is recording the transactions in a period of time. Once a computing node has the authority to write a new page, it will broadcast this page to other nodes in the network. So because of the nature of blockchain, we adopted to replace the central server and propose a decentralized machine learning framework. So the proposed system has two roles for the participants. The data holder and the computing nodes. Because of the using the blockchain, okay, so they have to reach a consensus. The data holders have their own local training data. So, and their objective is to train a global machine learning model on the data from all data holders while protecting their privacy. The computing nodes help data holders update the learning model, which works like the miner in the cryptocurrency systems. The basic idea is the data holder obtain the current model from the blockchain to calculate the local gradients, and the computing node aggregates these gradients from all the other data holders, and then update it to the blockchain. Okay, so this is the whole process. So after repeating this process, they can collaboratively train a global model. Once the learning task is finished, the data holder share the cost and the computing node get paid based on their contribution. Okay, so this is the basic structure. That's so in this framework. So what kind of problems or what kind of security and privacy issues it may have? Okay, let's see the first one, privacy. Okay. We consider two types of the threats: data holders privacy threats. Right. So the privacy is defined as the data holders identity information privacy and also their training data's privacy. So two types of privacy. Attackers, including the malicious participants and outside attackers, okay, attempt to steal this private information by intercepting or eavesdropping the broadcasted message in the network. So although the data holder are sending the gradients instead of the original data, attackers can still infer the user's identity and the original training data. So the message should be protected before broadcasting. So the second is the security system from the system perspective. Okay. We mainly focus on the Byzantine attacks, which prevent the system from effectively learning an accurate global predictive model. We consider two types of Byzantine attacks. One is the Byzantine computing nodes who append new blocks onto the machine main chain. So they can generate incorrect model update information to trick data holders when calculating their local gradients. And then the gradients is not accurate. So if there are more malicious computing nodes, so then, for example, then if it has more than 50% nodes are malicious, okay, the correctness of the block on the main chain cannot be guaranteed. So we assume that the majority of the computing nodes are honest in our system. Second is present data holders who broadcast forged information to jeopardize the learning performance. Since most of the systems, can not work when there are more malicious users than honest ones. So we also assume that the majority of the data holders are honest in the system. So in the following, I will address these threats. Okay. So before we look into the design, we'll first mathematically formulate this learning task. Suppose there are k parties with their private data set. Okay. So here, X is the sample, Y is the label. The task is to train a global predictive model, okay, by using these data sets. Okay, here W is the model parameter. This task, is equivalent to train the model on a complete data set. Okay. So one popular method of training such a model is to using regularized risk minimization algorithm. So which minimize the object function here, J of W. Okay. The loss function is chosen based on the predictive model we use. To solve this minimization problem, we use the SGD algorithm. So this is one of the most popular optimization algorithm. This learning process iteratively updates the predictive model. In the, for example, T iteration, Tth iteration, so the gradients of J, so with respect to the model parameter W, is given by, this equation. So when we split the n samples, okay, into the k parties, this part can be rewritten as this equation. So it means that one computing node can calculate this global gradient by aggregating all the local gradients data GK. So this is the one, how to calculate this one. Okay. So by using, here is the local data sets. The computing node then updates the model. Okay. So with the here, eta is the learning rate. So iteratively, the participants can collaboratively train a global predictive model. According to this, we propose the blockchain-based decentralized machine learning framework. So we call this framework as the learning chain. So it mainly contains three phases. The first one is the blockchain initialization. Okay. So the learning system participants, both data holders and the computing nodes, establish connections, set up a peer-to-peer network, and reach a consensus on the initial learning model settings. Okay. Then, second is local gradient computation. Okay. So the data holder, so they're all data holders. So the data holders calculate the local gradients based on the current global model. Okay. This one, W. Okay. This one obtained from the current blockchain. For example, the Tth iteration. So this is the WT. So then utilize the different privacy to protect the sensitive information. Okay. And also broadcast the protected message to the computing nodes. Okay. For example, this time this one is selected. Okay, so then the third phase is to global gradient aggregation, aggregate all the local gradients. So the computing nodes update the model and competes for the authority to append in the new block by solving a math puzzle. So once a node wins, it broadcasts the block for for verification and adds this new block to the chain. Specifically for the local gradient during this phase, okay, so what the local data holder should do, okay, first it needs to generate a pseudo identity. This one is used to protect the customer's privacy in the blockchain platform. The second step is to calculate the local gradients. So here, to protect the privacy of local gradients before uploading to the blockchain platform, we add noise vector here, low. So then we can prevent the attacker from inferring sensitive information from this local gradient. However, add noise is, if it's random, add some noise to the gradients. So this can affect the prediction accuracy and also may still have the privacy leakage. Okay. So then the question is how to find the raw. So we will introduce this later. Okay. The third step is to create the message. Okay. So, and then share it. So this message includes, for example, like the pseudo identity and also the gradients, okay, and also like the time, okay. So and then broadcast it to the computing nodes. Through the network, all the computing nodes can receive all the data, all the gradients from the data holders, okay, and then compute the model, global model. Okay. So let's focus on the differential privacy, how to design or how to find the raw. Okay. So before that, we introduce the basic definition of differential privacy. For the, can see here epsilon differential privacy, the definition of this one. So given any two data sets D and D prime, so they have one element different. So then a query function f is said to be epsilon differential private if the probability, okay, f produce a response R on D is close to the probability that f produce the same response, okay, on the dataset D prime, okay, if a less than e to epsilon, okay, so then we say it's a epsilon differential private. So since the query output is almost the same with the high probability, so in the presence or absence of an individual entry, so nothing can be learned about any individual entry from the output. So when this function f outputs a real value vector, its L2 sensitivity can be defined as the maximum maximum distance between their outputs. Okay, so given such function f, okay, it has the L2 sensitivity less than C. You can see here. One approach to achieve epsilon differential privacy is to perturbate the output by adding a noise vector alpha. So where alpha is generated randomly according to this probability density function. So following this definition, to make an attacker unable to distinguish two data sets, D called dk and dk prime. Okay, so we need to make the L2 sensitivity up bounded by 2G. So then we can add the noise vector rho to the gradients with this probability density function. Okay, so this is the one. So this one is very similar, following this definition, we can also have this. Okay. So the theorem and its proof can be found here. So it shows this one can achieve the epsilon differential privates. So due to the time, we skip the introduction here. So then let's see the operation in the global gradient aggregation. In this phase, okay, a computing node aggregates the local gradients and updates the learning model. So this phase includes 3 steps. The first one, local gradient aggregation. So in this step, computing nodes aggregate all the local gradients to calculate the global gradients. So as we talked about before, it may suffer from Byzantine attack. So if Byzantine data holders may broadcast the first gradients to the computing nodes, so it may affect the accuracy of the global gradient model. Okay, so we design an efficient, we call L nearest aggregation scheme. Okay, to address this issue, we first add K normalized local gradients together to find the global gradient direction. Okay, as you can see from this figure, okay, suppose the green line is the objective function. So the green dot line is the desired global gradient descent direction. Since we normalize the local gradients to a unit vector with blue line denoted as the as the data holders gradients, the red line as the Byzantine data holders gradients. So as we assume that the majority of the data holders are honest, so the sum vector V will guide the global descent to descent direction to we call the proper direction. So once the correct descent direction is found, so computing nodes calculate all the cosine distance between each data holders, normalize the local gradients, and then sum it. and then pick up the top L. You can see here top L nearest gradients among these K distance value, and then to calculate the global gradient value that J here, and then some these then update this predictive model by using this equation, right? So the second step is to compute, to create the new block. So the computing nodes write the updated global model, and then write it into the new block, like the here BT plus 1, and then compute for the authority to append this block to the train. So this is the third step, okay, to compete for the right to append the block. Okay. So then we analyze the privacy and security discussed in the threat model. So regarding the identity protection, so without the other information, the real identity cannot be inferred from the pseudo identity like the Bitcoin system. Okay? And also, we utilize the DP to protect the shared data or shared gradients, so which also protect the data holder's identity. And then let's see the training privacy. So since the model training process is conducted iteratively, in each iteration, the data holder broadcasts the propagated local gradients. So these gradients can satisfy the epsilon differential privacy. So this can protect the privacy of their data. However, after the, for example, we call the a large number J iterations. So if the attacker corrects all the gradients from a specific data holder intentionally, so the privacy guarantee of this approach is J epsilon differential private instead of the epsilon differential private. So this will lead, we call this to the privacy leakage. Okay, so then how to enhance the privacy. Okay, so one way is to let each data holder use a different pseudo identity in each iteration. So the other way is we enhance the scheme. The basic idea is to change, the original epsilon to epsilon t to t, epsilon to t. Okay, so since in each iteration, the protected local gradients satisfies the this one. Okay, so then after J iterations, each data holder is guaranteed with the epsilon differential privacy. Okay, so then we achieve the training, the privacy of the training data. Yeah. So then let's analyze the security protection. Let's first see the Byzantine computing node. So this node needs to broadcast the block to other computing nodes for verification. Okay. Once other computing nodes receive this block, they verify it based on two rules. First, check the recorded message. in the block by comparing them with the history message stored in their memory pool. Okay, so then the second is check, perform the computation. They recompute the aggregation process, aggregation gradients, aggregated gradients. So the model update and also perform the model updating process and also the blocks process to check the correctness of these computations. So if this block does not satisfy any of these two rules, it will be rejected. So since we assume the majority of the computing nodes are honest, the system can assume the block on the chain are correct. So then we can see the impact from the Byzantine computing node is addressed. So the last one is Byzantine data holder. Okay. So these data holders attack the system by sending faked local gradients. So in the worst case, there, Byzantine data holders collect all the honest holders gradients. Okay, and the broadcast gradients with offset direction, like this one. Okay, find this gradients and then broadcast it as the different actual offset direction and even larger magnitude. Okay, so in the as we discussed in our system, the proposed L nearest aggregation scheme first normalize all the gradients into unit values because the majority users are honest. Okay. Okay. So the summed vector is having a correct direction as the green dotted line in the previous figure. So here, because of the adding the using the offset direction, so the direction the summit direction may be like this one. Okay, a little bit differ from the expected line. So by selecting, these L nearest gradients, the impact from the malicious user, we call can be alleviated. So it has the minor impact, but it's not that high. Okay, so then we also address the Byzantine data holder attack. So let's move to the experiments. In the experiments, we evaluate the efficiency and efficacy of the proposed learning chain and also the learning chain, the enhanced learning chain scheme. So we utilize 3 data sets and also divide this data set into like the 30, 10, 100 parties. Okay, so we treat each party as both data holder and the computing nodes, and then using Python to implement the blockchain network. We can observe when epsilon is small, the test error is relatively high. So this indicates a trade-off between the privacy protection level and the prediction accuracy. So if you want to achieve the high privacy, so it may have low utility. Okay, and also we evaluate the impact of the Bayesian attack. So when there are several Bayesian attackers, okay, for example 5, 12, okay, the model can still converge, but with higher test error. So once the number exceeds like the 51% threshold, that's the system can hardly converge. You can see that this one, okay. So it's hardly converge. So we further compare the performance of the proposed L nearest gradient scheme with one state-of-the-art scheme. The black column here is the baseline, which this one has no schemes against the Bayesian attack. So when only 10% of the data holder are Bayesian attack, our proposed scheme and the multiple column have similar performance. You can see here, okay. So if we increase the number of the attackers, okay, so then the test error is also increasing, but if the best attacker is not the majority, okay, so then the performance is still acceptable. But if the attackers are the majority, so you can see here the test error is very, very high, okay. Okay, so to conclude this work, we explore blockchain technique to propose a decentralized privacy-preserving and secure learning framework called learning chain. So this can be applied to any existing gradient descent-based machine learning algorithms and any type of blockchains. So we provide theoretical analysis on the privacy and security. The experimental results show the efficiency and efficacy of our proposed framework. Okay, thank you.